or 10 to 1 on long-term care. And I don't know what reaction the state would have. I would hope that the state continues to fund local healthcare providers, even if the county withholds their share.
Well, the feds already cut back, I think, 11.5%.
But you can imagine, Reed, it would be an absolute disaster if, for example, the counties withheld its 25% share of what's spent for local care, and the state only paid the balance, because it would be an absolute fiscal disaster for WCA or Westfield Hospital or Brooks Hospital or all of our local doctors and nursing homes if they weren't paid in full.
So actually, Edwards is barking at the moon. Well, this can't happen.
I hope the state will keep paying all of our local providers, even if the county doesn't pay its share. I would certainly hope so, because otherwise we're going to have a real fiscal disaster on the healthcare field in Chautauqua County. Yeah.
They're selling the nursing home, trying to. What do you think of that?
Well,
the county nursing home, which has been operated by the county for a million years, since it started. Since actually it used to be the county farm, and then it switched over, and they used to raise crops there, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
And
up into Whiteville.
Yep, and here we are now selling the nursing home. What's that mean?
Well, I know the county legislature is looking at that option, and they're looking at that option because the county nursing home has been costing county taxpayers a couple of $1 million. And the question that I know the legislature is asking is, can the county taxpayers continue to subsidize one of the nursing homes when they don't subsidize any of the others in the county? So all the private sector nursing homes, whether it's Absolute Care or WCA or Heritage or Lutheran, none of the privately operated nursing homes are being subsidized by the county taxpayers. And so the question is, why are we subsidizing just one and when none of the others need that subsidy? No one is talking about closing the county home.
No, we're well aware of that. Nobody's going to get thrown out, and they'll continue the care, but it'll go out of the county's ownership to a private company.
Right. As you know, when I was county executive, and that was 20 years ago, so it was a different era. But the county nursing home back then did not get a taxpayer subsidy. They operated profitably. And I would hope the first objective ought to be, can we operate the county nursing home without a taxpayer subsidy? And if we can, I think the county will keep it.
Maybe they'll introduce rehab, which is a big one.
Maybe.
That's where they're making bundles in the hospitals and the nursing homes, and we don't seem to have a big rehab center over there at the county nursing home.
Now, I'm not in the position to second guess how the nursing home is run. I'm lucky to work on a state, and we've got a lot of other problems.
You're lucky to get out of being a county exec.
Exactly.
Greg Edwards has his hands full at this point. Good morning, caller. Oh, we lost somebody. They ran away. They said, I'm not going to wait around for that.
Well,
all right.
They're certainly welcome, by the way, Reed. Anyone is. If you have a question and we haven't answered it, or you have a comment and you want to follow up, certainly welcome to call me at my office.
Number?
664-7773.
664-7773. You will answer the phone and take care of matters, right?
Well, either I or one of my staff members.
One of your staff members.
I have a great staff, by the way. They work out of Jamestown, but we do a lot of work everywhere. And
our caller just got back.
Great.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, I'd like to ask about the group that is marketing the county nursing home. Are you aware of Marcus and Millichap?
I'm not familiar with the group.
What do you know, caller?
Well, the county legislature had a presentation this past Wednesday night from Marcus and Millichap's representative. And if you will go to Google and type in Marcus and Millichap and the word fraud, you will find a Los Angeles Times article that says they are under indictment in California for inflating the value of properties and selling them to unsuspecting buyers. You will find an article in the New York Review of Business that says they are considering indicting them in the state of New York for fraud. And the title of the article...
There you go.
The title of the article in the LA Times is Marketing Firm Scams Customers and Employees. they not only scam the customers, but when they have an employee that leaves, and there are 3 cases that have been settled out of court, one in Illinois, one in Oregon, and one in California, where former employees were accused of having taken materials from the files, that is, customers that they had solicited over the years. And when they went off on their own, Marcus and Millichap would sue them to the tune of millions of dollars. This is another way that they managed to get their income by actually suing their former employees.
No, this is also how the large corporations keep you shut up, because as soon as you breach a subject such as this, they sue you for millions, and you can't afford the lawyers. They bankrupt you.
Well, I'm not.
What about that?
I'm not involved directly in whether or not they're going to sell the nursing home or keep the nursing home, whether or not they can change its operations so that it can operate without a large taxpayer subsidy, or even which firm, if they decide to market it, should be handled. But the fact that the county legislature has put this up for consideration gives everyone an opportunity to participate in the process by bringing forward the very comments that you have. And I support the process of looking at options. I think that's a responsible thing to do. And I encourage you and others who have a lot of interest in the future of the county home to be involved in the process, because clearly, if we can bring the county home financially so that it no longer needs a subsidy, and we operate for a long time without a subsidy.
What you have here is a state that has requirements for that home that require them to have maximum care. You could change the state laws, the regulations. It's a difficult thing. So that they could have graduated care, the kind of care that isn't the maximum for everyone there, the kind of living care, in place living. The other thing is, since the federal government is squeezing you, the state, you are obviously kicking the can. You've reduced the allocation to the local county people by 11% to take care of these things. And it's also incumbent on you to make sure that that millionaire's tax that expires on the 31st of December is held in place so that these kinds of things can't happen, because that represents $5 billion a year that would still be within your reach to provide the services that you as our representative are responsible for doing. And we really hope that you can do that. But if the county home had different regulations as required by the state, then you could solve this problem by working with the unions and making sure that the care was allocated in levels according to the need of the people there, not everybody getting maximum, which is very expensive.
Thank you,
Let me deal with some of those issues. You brought up actually several. First, the regulations that apply to the county home are the same regulations that apply to any skilled nursing facility. A lot of the skilled nursing facilities have expanded into lower levels of care to provide a broader continuum. So, for example, Lutheran Social Services has reduced by about half the number of skilled nursing beds that they had, and instead added more supportive housing. And I would support that process for the county home as well, if that's an approach that they want to take. Second, even with those regulations in place, you want to remember the county home was profitable during the 1990s. And it wasn't until later that the county nursing home started to require a substantial subsidy. Back in the 90s, the county nursing home operated profitably with all the same rules as everybody else, and without the, it's called an IGT, intergovernmental transfer. The IGT was implemented to provide an additional extra funding for county-operated nursing homes. But even when that first came out, the Chautauqua County Nursing Home operated profitably without it. And so I would do everything I can, certainly on the state level, as it relates to any state mandates or regulations, to help the county home do whatever they need to do to address that situation and move forward to reducing the taxpayer subsidy. Absolutely, and you have my full commitment on that. Moving forward, of course, the state's objective is to ensure that we have high-quality care for senior citizens and others that need it in a cost-effective manner. And along that route, this spring, the state enacted, it's called a Mandate Relief Council. And that Mandate Relief Council, which kicks in at the beginning of next year, has the power on its own to amend or adjust or even eliminate burdensome regulatory mandates that drive up the cost of doing business in New York State, including the cost of doing, operating the county home. So to the extent that there are state mandates that are unnecessarily driving up the cost of operating the nursing home, not only will this agency have, or commission have the power to address it, but I am absolutely 100% committed to helping the residents of the home and the administration of the county home address those issues. The millionaire's tax, the problem that we have with the millionaire's tax is that if New York State is the only one that has a high tax on millionaires, the millionaires will simply move across the border.
Which they've done most of them anyway already.
Well,
A lot of them have.
There's another thing
well, let me just finish. In New Jersey, they just finished the study. It was announced just a couple weeks ago, where they came to the conclusion that when they raised the tax too high on the high wealth earners, the net revenue to the state went down. And in their case, I think it was $165 million net loss in revenue. So when you raise the tax on people who are very mobile, at first you get a bump in the amount of your tax revenue because it takes them a while to respond. Then your tax revenue starts dropping as they leave.
Yeah, well,
we don't want to be a state that doesn't have any millionaires.
Right.
We don't want to be a state that doesn't have any employers because we've driven them out of the state. So you have to balance those issues.
You can juggle.
Okay,
juggle
last comment,
thing.
caller. We're running out of time.
The stock transfer tax garners you $17 billion a year from the stock exchange at Wall Street, and you told me that they would move. But
Sorry, caller.
No,
we're out of here.
France and Germany
We're out of
are doing
here.
it.
Bye-bye.
Bill Gates says do it.
Okay, thank you, caller. I'm sorry we didn't have any more time. We're running out of time, Andy.
Yeah, and again, the caller, please feel free to call me.
Yeah, call Andy. Give him the number.
Again, it's my office number is 664-7773, and we're happy to respond. Also, you can go on the internet if you want to. Type in New York State Assembly. You'll see my webpage, and you can send me an email.
Andy Goodell, our assemblyman. Thank you, Andy, for showing up. Will you come again soon?
Absolutely. I enjoy being on.
I can see a lot of people last caller we didn't even get on. Sorry, caller. Andy will be back. They want to talk to you, And
I'm glad to talk with them as well.
Yeah, I want to thank special, wonderful people. Chuck Kelsey, who developed the programming here, built a beautiful studio with Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Remaker, Jeff Zook, who's our top engineer, does the job. He's out deer hunting right now. Don Zins, John Hamels, Doc, and everybody out there. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Put an extra seat at your table for somebody who's a lonely person. Bring them over and bring them in. Have a great Thanksgiving next Thursday. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.